So I'd like to show you an example of simplifying a radical expression that involves a big product like this. Actually, I'd like to change this to a plus sign. So let's simplify this product. I would like to take the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 quantity times root 10 plus root 15. Now, I'm going to begin a problem like this one exactly as I would if there were x's and stuff in here, like x minus 1, x plus 2, for example. I'm going to start this by distributing, or as some say, FOILing. And I'm going to try and do this very, very slowly. Take my time writing out all of these steps with the neatest handwriting I can muster. I'm going to write down the square root of 2 times the square root of 10. That's the first product. Then square root of 2, square root of 15, both positive. Then I'm going to take the inner product. I have a negative on the outside, square root 3 times square root 10, and then I have a negative on the outside, square root 3, square root 15. Now, if you have watched the properties and non-properties of radical expressions video, you know that a product of two square roots, where the times is on the outside, can be thought of as a single square root where the product is taken on the inside. So not square root of 2 times square root of 10, a single square root of 2 times 10, a single square root of 20. Moving down the line, I'm going to do this modification for all 4 individual products. Square root of 20, the square root of 2 times 15, the square root of 30. Then this minus on the outside I'll bring down and take the square root of 3 times 10, 3 times 10, 30. And then I'll subtract the square root of 3 times 15, 3 times 15, 45. Now that I have FOILed, now that I have distributed and simplified each individual product, I'm going to go through and just check it at the moment to see if there are any like terms that are really obvious to me. And the 2 terms that catch my attention are the positive root 30 and the negative root 30. These are exactly the same term, except one is positive and one is being subtracted. So a positive take away exactly the same thing. Those two cancel each other out. I'm left with root 20, take away root 45. Now it may seem as though these 2 terms are not like terms, and therefore we can't do anything to combine them. But we can't say that for sure until those terms have been individually simplified. So let's break down 20. The first that occurs to me is 4 and 5. 2 and 2. 45, the first thing I think of is the 3 and 15, and 3 and 5. Now this pair of 3's, this pair of 2's, on the inside of the root can be transformed into a single 2 and a single 3 on the outside of the root. Pair of 2's inside, single 2 outside of the root. So in the end, it seems that these terms are actually like terms. 2 times root 5, 3 times root 5, same index, same radicand. The only difference is the number outside the root. So I have 2 take away 3. I have negative 1 root 5. Or if you prefer, simply negative root 5. And that would be my final, completely simplified answer. And wow, look how much simpler it is than what we started with.